What's up, boys? Data 782 here with my first ever career sim, going through Alexis Lafreniere's career with the New York Rangers. The lottery just coming down recently, last night actually, if you're watching this as soon as I upload, where the Rangers won the draft lottery with the 1 in 8 chance to draft Alexis Lafrenière with the first overall pick, and that is most definitely what they're going to do with it. So here in this franchise mode, taking some inspiration from NM3 and Man of the Writ, I'm going to be taking control of a totally different NHL team. I'm going to turn everything to auto, all the scouting, all the lines. I'm not going to touch anything except for simulating through the calendar. The only thing I'm going to touch is that when it gets to the draft, I'm going to try to trade my first round pick and some other second round picks in like 2040 for whoever the first round pick belongs to, and then trade that pick to the Rangers to make them draft Alexis Lafrenière. Unfortunately, if I put Lafrenière on the team right away, he would start playing with them in the 1920 season with his 80 overall potential and high elite potential. They wouldn't send him to the juniors. So unfortunately, I think that's the best way to make it happen. If you had any other suggestions on how I could try and steer a team to draft a player, then please let me know. But for this career sim, that is what I'm going to be doing to make sure that the Rangers draft Lafrenière. And hopefully with guys like Panarin and Zibanejad and Strome and D'Angelo and Elias Shesterkin and everybody, the Rangers should have a great future with Lafrenière being a big piece in that, and Kakko as well. So looking forward to seeing how the Rangers handle Lafrenière, how many points he puts up in his career, how many cups he could win, how much hardware and awards he could get throughout his years. So as of now, we know that he is an 80 overall with high elite potential. He will be drafted first overall from Rimouski. He's already being touted as one of the best Québécois or francophone players in NHL history. Et on sait que les Québécois aiment leurs joueurs francophones, donc peut-être ces penses sont un peu biaisées, but we'll see in the simulation and in real life. So looking forward to kicking off year number 1 with Alexis Lafrenière. First, we got to hop all the way to the 2020 entry draft. So let's go there and see Alexis Lafrenière get drafted by the New York Rangers to kick off his career. So with the first overall pick in the 2020 entry draft, the New York Rangers do indeed draft Alexis Lafrenière, left wing playmaker, high elite, 80 overall right out of the draft. In this simulation, he ended up scoring 100 points in 68 games with Rimouski, and we'll see where he fits into the lineup. Already a third line scoring forward for New York in their lines for the 2020-2021 season. So in Lafreniere's first season here with the Rangers, 2020-2021, the combos are definitely interesting to say the least. Zibanejad as a third-line center, Strome as a fourth-line center. Preseason's over, now the regular season needs to begin, so maybe it'll change around, but at the moment, he is 80 overall still. He has 3.5-star shooting, he has 3.5-star skating, 3.5-star puck skills, and all those other good numbers. He's not playing any special teams, no power play, no penalty kill, and we'll see how he does on that top line with Filip Chytil and Artemi Panarin. In the Rangers' first season with Lafrenière, they finished 23rd in the NHL with a record of 36, 36, and 10. Not too bad, actually pretty much exactly 500. Power play at 19.4, nothing too special. In the Metropolitan, they were not close enough to the Devils to make the playoffs. But it was a very solid rookie campaign from Lafrenière as he put up 20 goals and 34 assists for 54 points, playing in all 82 games for the Rangers. I checked halfway through the season, he was still on the first line, but it says here in the top left that he finished the season on the third line. I'm not able to go and look at it after the season is over, but you can see that he is now at 4-star shooting, 5-star puck skills, and 3.5-star everything else. High elite, second line forward, 84 overall. Now the question is, was that good enough for the Calder Trophy? Yes, it was. The 2021 recipient of the Calder Memorial Trophy is Alexis Lafrenière of the New York Rangers, putting together a great rookie season. And the rich get richer in the 2021 entry draft as the Rangers jumped from the 9th overall selection all the way up to number 1 by winning the draft lottery for the second straight season. And with that first overall pick in 2021, the Rangers select Aatu Räty, who I'm sure will be a big piece to play with Lafrenière, a left wing two-way forward with high elite potential. Oh goodness, but I gotta say, if I were New York, I probably would have taken this guy Henrik Danielson, already a second line forward, 84 overall, medium elite, 18 years old. Probably would have been a great center to play with Lafrenière as a sniper, but unfortunately the Rangers miss out on him, and they have Aatu Räty. Going into his second NHL season, Alexis Lafrenière is up to an 86 overall, second line forward, still at high elite potential, 2 more years on his entry-level deal. He has 3.5-star senses and 3.5-star physical, but 4.5, or 5-star everything else. Looks like great defensive stats as well with the 94 stick checking. Shooting category is amazing, and the puck skills, of course, are off the charts. Once again, the Rangers have really weird lines heading into this season with like a second line caliber as their fourth line and 80 overalls in the top 9. But hey, I'm not the GM of the Rangers, so what can I say? In his second season with the Rangers, Alexis Lafrenière helped his team get to a record of 45, 30, and 7, which was good enough for 97 points, the 9th best record in the NHL, and the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference, as that was a pretty packed conference, and they were the 3rd best team in their division. It was a great showing from Lafrenière as he put up 70 points, a 36-goal, 34-assist season. He played in all 82 games. Fellow rookie Kakko is right behind him with 66. Somehow Connor Brown at 86 overall now scored 71. All right, that's cool to see. So Lafrenière with a plus 20 and 70 points, 15 power play points, went up to an 89 overall, now listed as a first line forward. Look at those numbers, great stats. But unfortunately, they lost in the first round to the Carolina Hurricanes, who eventually lost to the Capitals, who lost to the Lightning, who lost to the Oilers. So actually, the Rangers ended up being the ultimate losers of the 2022 playoffs. But regardless of that, Alexis Lafrenière is up to an 89 overall, like I said, and will be moving into the last year of his entry-level deal next season, which will make him a very expensive commodity for the Rangers once that expires. Headed into the final year of his entry-level deal, Alexis Lafrenière is still on the top line, playing with Brett Howden and Artemi Panarin here. The team continues to grow. Kakko at an 85. Aatu Räty has made the team. Zibanejad, fourth-line center at 87. Again, this is not preseason. This is during the season. You can see the date in the top right corner. I don't know why the lines look like this. Anyways, Lafrenière, he has 5-star puck skills, 5-star shooting, 4-star everything else as he continues to grow physically and skillfully. But really great. It's 95 deking, 91 slap shot and wrist shot accuracy, 97 stick checking. Great stuff to see. And as we've mentioned, last year was entry-level deal, so we'll see if the Rangers can really make him worth this season as they want to maximize their cap and make a Stanley Cup push. In Lafreniere's third season, it was another playoff campaign for the Rangers as they went 44, 28, and 10 for 98 points and 10th best in the NHL. Lafrenière set a new career high with 85 points, 32 goals, and 53 assists. Playing on a line with Panarin, who scored 109, definitely helped. He is up to a 90 overall at the end of his entry-level deal, so we'll see how much he gets signed for heading into next offseason. The 5-star shooting is a great help, and he is looking amazing. Through his first 3 seasons in the NHL, he just keeps getting better. 209 points through 246 games. And although the Rangers did make it further in the playoffs this season, they fell in 7 to the Carolina Hurricanes as they beat the Flyers in 6, but the Hurricanes beat them. And of course, forgot to mention last season, but this season, Lafrenière put up 14 points in 13 playoff games with 10 goals. Very impressive. And in last year's playoffs, forgot to say that, he scored 3 points in 6 games, so 17 points in 19 career playoff games through his first 2 playoff runs. In year number 4, Alexis Lafrenière is up to a 90 overall, still playing on the top line with Howden and Panarin, who's at a 93. Lafrenière has 5 stars all over the board. Lowest is 4-star senses, but all around a really fantastic player with 98 deking, 98 stick checking, 92 for both shot accuracies. His speed is fantastic as well, and he even has the physical stats to boot. He just signed a huge 7-year, $72.415 million deal, which pays him $10.345 million for the next 7 seasons to keep him as a fixture on the New York Rangers. In year number 4, in a shocking turn of events, the Rangers not only miss out on the playoffs, but were the 4th worst team in the NHL with a record of 33, 42, and 7, coming out of nowhere. Really coming out of nowhere, and the numbers did not help either. Lafrenière, the first year of that big contract, puts up 62 points. Panarin only 68. Kakko put up 79, which is great as he's growing. But Lafrenière only 62 points for him, remains at 90 overall. The stats are just getting better, but the numbers were not there to back it up, as he put up the lowest numbers in his career since his rookie season in terms of goals and points. 80 games, he only missed a couple, but still, 62 points in 80 games is not at his caliber. But still, at the age of 22, moving into the second year of that big contract in his 5th season, we'll see how things shape up for the Rangers after this offseason. Heading into year number 5, looks like the Rangers finally hired a good coach who put Zibanejad on the first line and not as the 4th line left winger. Lafrenière is at a 90 overall, 22 years old. Stats continue to grow. I think they're pretty much topping off now. But still super impressive to have the 5-star puck skills, 5-star shooting, and at the same time 4.5-star defense. 6 more years on that big deal. Lots of time to make something happen. Rangers have a good team, so let's see how they do. So after that little hiccup in year number 4, the Rangers are back in the playoffs in year number 5, finishing with 94 points and a record of 44, 32, and 6. Lafrenière went over just a point per game, scoring 82 in 81 with 35 goals and 47 assists. He is now up to a 91 overall at the age of 23. But in the playoffs, they got swept out of the first round by the Buffalo Sabres, who eventually lost to the Bruins, who lost to the Devils, who lost to the Sharks. For the second time in 5 years, the Rangers were the ultimate losers of the playoffs. Lafrenière did go a point per game in the playoffs, scoring 4 assists in 4 games, but it was unfortunately another year of disappointment for the Rangers. Here in year number 6, Lafrenière is up to a 91 overall, playing with Zibanejad at an 88 and Panarin at a 93. So this is probably the best line he's ever been on at the best potential and stats that he's ever had. The second line is very nice, a great top 6, should have good special teams. The Rangers are in for a treat this season, I sure hope so. 5-star everything except for the 4-star senses and 4-star skating, 99 stick checking, 98 deking, 93 slap shot and wrist shot accuracy, with other various 90 overall attributes. Looking for a big 6th season from Alexis Lafrenière. Yikes, scratch that. Another really weird, bizarre season for the Rangers as they finished 25th in the NHL, 81 points with a record of 38, 39, and 5. Lafrenière did lead his team in points for the first time in his career, but only 81 in 82. Panarin really slowing down at 78. A weird season, a bit of a transitional one, as Lafrenière is now becoming the cornerstone of the rebuild in a different way. Instead of being the piece that changed it all, he's now being the piece that is being built around in a transitional phase as Panarin is getting older and Kakko and Lafrenière are going to have to be those players. So after this year, still 4 years to go on that big deal, so no need to panic yet. Lafrenière, through his first 6 NHL seasons, is up to 434 points in 489 games, heading into year number 7 for 2026-2027. And the Rangers once again find some lottery luck as they move up from 7 to 3 here in the 2026 Draft Lottery, so hopefully that'll be something special for them. And it ends up being Lawrence David, medium elite two-way forward, 76 overall, 18 years old. Hopefully someone who can be on the right side if Lafrenière moves to that left side. Now in year number 7, Lafrenière has moved to his natural wing over on the left on the top line with Zibanejad and Aturati. Kakko on the second line, Maxime Dupont, who they drafted 3rd overall in 2024, is up there. But Artemi Panarin is off the team now, so is Ryan Strome, Philip Heidel, a lot of new names here. So a lot has changed here in New York, but Lafrenière still up on that top line. Defense isn't great. I don't know if I have high hopes for the team this season. Definitely a huge fixture on the power play and the man that they'll be be going to for all of their scoring needs. At a 91 overall, all those same numbers are still the same as before. Stick checking at 98 is always fun to say. Body checking at a 90 strength. Stats have gone down maybe a bit. I think his wrist shot and slap shot accuracy was a 93. So hopefully he can get back into the groove this season by putting the team on his back and carrying them to the playoffs. To call year number 7 an absolute bust would be an understatement, as the Rangers go 21, 52, and 9 in the 2026-27 season to finish with 51 points, by far the worst team in the NHL. Alexis Lafrenière only put up 66 points as he didn't really have anyone to pass to on that top line. 66 points in 82 games. He drops to a 90 overall, and with 3 more years after this deal, his contract changed because of cap regulations since they didn't have enough money to hit the cap. But with 3 more years on that deal, I'd be surprised if he stays on this team unless things turn around soon, as that was the lowest goal total of his career, even less than his rookie season, a career worst for plus minus, but he did hit the 500 point mark. Hopefully he gets some support in the offseason, and year number 8 will be something different. The lottery luck did run dry just a little bit as the Rangers dropped to the 3rd overall pick, and with that pick they went ahead and selected another medium-way two-way forward. So they have Atu Ratti. They drafted a medium-way two-way forward last season, and they drafted another medium-way two-way forward this season, Abel Vandermeer. So they really need people who can score, and that's not what the management is getting for them. Unfortunately, Rangers management have not provided Lafrenière with much more support here in year number 8. On the top line was Zibanejad, who's 34, and Dupont, who is now a sniper with 5-star shooting, so at least maybe he can make some magic with him. Top 6 is pretty decent. Aside from that, they have Kevin Hayes. So great job, Rangers management. You're really supporting your stars who have 3 years left and who will be wanting to get a way out. Jake Bean got signed up. John Gibson, at the age of 34, got a 4-year contract. And for some reason, Guryanov and Puljujärvi are both healthy scratches, while players like Bakar, who's a grinder, and Anders Bjork and Kevin Hayes are in the lineup. So once again, Rangers management, please don't be fools, and let's have a good season. In year number 8, the Rangers made it back to the playoffs with 90 points and a record of 41, 33, and 8, which was good enough for 14th best in the NHL. Alexis Lafrenière led the team in points once again with 84 points in 82 games, scoring 27 goals and 57 assists. Having Dupont on his top line there, scoring 40 goals, definitely helped him out. Over the course of the season, he went up to a 92 overall, the highest overall that he has been at. All of his puck skills are at a 99, except for his hand-eye, which is at a 98, which is fantastic to see. Offensive awareness, all that stuff. A really great season for him. Maybe not his best points-wise of his career, but a very solid season overall, and that's what got them to the playoffs. And in the playoffs, they dominated the Penguins in the first round, sweeping them out, but then they lost in 6 to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes. So for the second time in 8 years, they made it to the second round, but they still can't get past there. Even though Lafrenière was an absolute animal in the playoffs, scoring 17 points in 10 games, it wasn't enough this season, but hopefully it is indicative of what is to come for this franchise. I don't know what's going on in New York, but here in year number 9, Lafrenière is up to a 92 overall, and his first line is him, Michael Rasmussen at 79, and Denis Guryanov at an 84, who was scratched all of last season. The second line, at least there's Kakko and Dupont, 86 and 90, Ratti and 88 down on the fourth line, Dubé and 84, David and 86, so I really don't get these lines. We'll see if it works out for them. Hey, if it works out, then all power to them. They have Hanifin and Bean on defense, so hopefully that works out. But Alexis Lafrenière, he has 2 years left on his deal. I hope that this really works out if they want to keep him. He's up to 5-star everything except for 4.5 senses and skating, 93 on the accuracies, 90 offensive awareness, 99 stick checking, 99 puck control, passing, deking, 92 speed, 92 strength. He is an all-around all-star. Hopefully this can be a season that works out with some line changes maybe. I don't know if my hopes are super high, but year number 9, let's see how the Rangers do. It was heartbreak for the Rangers this season. Even though they got 90 points, going 41, 33, and 8, it was not enough to make the playoffs. They missed out. The Panthers were ahead of them for the next wildcard spot by just 2 points. Even the Bruins missed out as well. So 17th best in the NHL was not good enough for the playoffs this season. Lafrenière did all right with 78 points in 82 games, 26 goals, and 52 assists, but as I've been saying, no one really to support him. I don't know who was on that line at the end of the season, but at the start of the season, it was Rasmussen who ended up with 39 points. So yeah, he ended up on the first line, so I don't know why you'd put Michael Rasmussen there, and he was also playing with Gurianov, who had 55 points. Not bad, but still, you need someone who's a good scorer like Dupont, and the Rangers are really not managing Lafrenière well. So he'll enter the final season of his contract at a 92 overall. The stats still remaining the same. Senses are down to 4 stars, and his defense is down to 4.5 stars as well, but everything else remains at 5 stars. Heading into his 10th NHL season, and I really hope that in a contract season, the Rangers will put the pieces in place to make him want to stay. In year number 10, Lafrenière is thankfully back to having a good centerman, as Nick Schmaltz is the first-line center on the Rangers. Lafrenière at a 92 overall at 27 years of age. His stats are just off the charts as always. He is now at 5-star everything except for the 4.5 defense and the 4-star senses. I'm not sure what went down. Might be his poise or offensive awareness. I don't think the discipline really changes, but his shot accuracy for slap shot and wrist shots are both at 94. The puck skills are all 98, 99, and he continues to stay speedy fast at 93 acceleration and 93 speed. He's on the last year of his deal, so the Rangers really got to make something happen this season if they want to keep him. This is probably their best team in a while in terms of just all-around players. I know they have Ratti and Vandermeer on the 4th line, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever when you have Barry Boulet as the 3rd-line center, but like I've said multiple times now, I'm not the GM of the Rangers. I'm just going to have to let it play out, and hopefully in real life they aren't this foolish. But in year number 10, the last year of Lafreniere's big deal, let's see if the Rangers can make it happen. Year number 10 was exactly what the Rangers needed, finishing top of the Eastern Conference and just 6 points out of the President's Trophy, going for a record of 52, 26, and 4, their best season since Lafrenière joined the team all the way back in 2020, so great to see that. As well as Lafrenière putting up 79 points in 75 games. We went over a point per game once again, as he was injured for 7 games it seems, but Dupont led the way in points with his 43 goals. So Lafrenière, now at the age of 28, has his contract running out. They just had a great season. Would a good playoff run be enough to make him stay? And unluckily for them, they fell in the second round once again, the 3rd time in 10 years. They could not get out of the second round. They were down 3-0 against the Canadiens. They came back to win 4-3 in 7, but then they lost in 7 in the next round. So a 7-game series that has them lose to the Flyers, who eventually lose to the Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils. Will Lafrenière come back for year 11? We'll have to see after this off season. And like I've been saying a lot, they finally had a good season, but if they want Lafrenière not only to come back but to have success, they have to provide him with the right pieces and place those pieces in the right spots, not on the 3rd and 4th lines. So in year number 11, it looks like the Eastern Conference Championship of year number 10 was enough to get Lafrenière to sign back on for 8 more years. 8 years at 11.79 each year. So 8 years, $91.92 million for the 28-year-old forward. That'll bring him all the way to the age of 36. So he is really committing long-term to the team that drafted him all the way back in 2020. He's bumped from the first line, though, heading into year number 11, playing with Schmaltz and Gurianov on the second line. Kakko, Rasmussen, and Dupont play on the first line. So hopefully with some good power play time and some good management of the top 6, the Rangers should have another dominant season. After 10 seasons, Lafrenière has played in almost every game of those 10 years at 810 career played games. He is at 741 points, which includes 267 goals and 474 assists. The plus minus could be better, only at a 27. But if last year was indicative of the future, then hopefully the second half of his career will be the most fruitful. The Rangers once again win the Eastern Conference this season with a record of 57, 21, and 4, a fantastic 118 points, which tied them with the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think they win the President's Trophy due to regulation plus overtime wins. They're having 3 less, even though they had 1 more win. Bit of a complicated system, but I don't believe that gets them the President's Trophy, but it does tie them with the best record, so there is some pride in that. During the regular season, Alexis Lafrenière scored 91 points in 82 games, going for 27 goals and 64 assists. It's nice to have some goal scorers with Dupont, who scored 55, Vandermeer here, who scored 42. So finally he has somebody to pass to, and that resulted in a 91-point season and 31 power play points. However, it is the same old story in the playoffs, as they lost in 6 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who lost to the Devils, who lost to the Leafs, who lost to the Golden Knights. So I believe that's the 3rd time that the Rangers are the ultimate losers of the playoffs. And even though he put up 8 points in 6 games with 1 goal and 7 assists, Alexis Lafrenière closes out another playoffs at the age of 29, up to a 93 overall, still with nothing more to show than a few second-round exits. Headed into year number 12, Lafrenière is coming off a career high last season in points, and he's at the highest overall of his career at a 93 overall now at the age of 29. His stats are just off the charts, 5-star everything except for 4.5-star skating. The defense is really underrated to have a guy who can score that much and have such great puck skills and 95 shot blocking and 99 stick checking. Physical at 5-star for a 6'1" playmaker. All those other numbers, you can see those. So this should be a huge season for Lafrenière, especially since he's finally playing with Kakko. Hopefully Nick Schmaltz on that center can do something. They picked up Dylan Strome. They have 2 great scorers on the second line. So looking forward to big things from the Rangers, who have won the Eastern Conference for 2 years in a row, but have still not gotten out of that second round. For the 3rd year in a row, the New York Rangers won the Eastern Conference, this year with a record of 46, 24, and 12, which was 4 points out of the President's Trophy. It was a bit more of a scoring by committee season for the Rangers, as Lafrenière put up 22 goals and 52 assists for 74 points in 80 games. Seems like his line mates didn't do that much, as Kakko had 57 and Schmaltz had 55. It was really that second line of the 2 scorers, Dupont and Vandermeer, who did the bulk of the work. And unfortunately in the playoffs, the Rangers fell to the New York Islanders, who eventually fell to the Hurricanes, who became the Stanley Cup champions. So they weren't the ultimate losers, but another year of a first-round exit for New York. Lafrenière put up 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points through the 6 games, but he didn't really have much support on that first line, and I really hope that with Nick Schmaltz aging, now at 36 years old, down to a 79 overall, I really hope that the Rangers get Lafrenière a real number 1 center that he can play with, now at the age of 30, moving into the 2032-33 season. And just as how I'm talking about how the Rangers need a first-line center, they trade away 86 overall Dylan Strome and Jordan Kyrou to the Predators for 2 first-round picks. So I don't know what else is going on in this offseason, but we'll see once we get to the lines. In year number 13, Lafrenière is down to the second line, once again playing with Michael Rasmussen as his center. At least he has Abel Vandermeer, who has 4.5-star shooting, so that should pay dividends. But the Rangers really need some center depth, and they're not playing their centers in the right positions, that's for sure. Nick Schmaltz, the age of 36 now, but hopefully Lafrenière, 30 years old, second half of his career with Vandermeer, this will give him a bit of a spark, and the Rangers can try to continue their dominance, as they have won the last 3 conference titles in the regular season. No conference title this season, as the Rangers were in a very strong division and conference with the Flyers and Leafs above them, but still very respectable 5th best record in the NHL with 46 wins, 27 losses, and 9 overtime losses for 101 points. The second line seemed to do all right as Alexis Lafrenière scored 85 points in 82 games with 20 goals and 65 assists, playing with Vandermeer, who scored 36 goals, which seemed to work out, up to a 92 overall now. And I think the 65 assists was a career high for him in the NHL, and yes, it was his previous high of 64. So as a playmaker, to see him get 65 assists is great here in the 2032-33 campaign. But it is more second round heartbreak as the Rangers fall in 6 games to the Pittsburgh Penguins, the eventual Stanley Cup champions. We keep running into the Stanley Cup champions. They beat the Islanders in 6 in the first round, but for the 4th time now in this simulation with Alexis Lafrenière, the Rangers lose in the second round. And even though they've picked up pieces like Tyson Jost or Jake Bean, Alexis Lafrenière, 8 points in 12 games, the last real fixture here on the New York Rangers in 2033. So heading into his 14th NHL season, we really hope that Alexis Lafrenière will begin to have some more playoff success with a team that can go deeper than just the second round. Maybe they need a better goalie. Yeah, they had a 76 overall goalie in net, so that's probably the biggest issue. The Rangers have been very mismanaged throughout this sim, but heading into year 14, there is finally some high hope on the first line. Alexis Lafrenière, 31 years old, now at a 92 overall. All the stats are always as great as ever. Skating and senses are down at 4.5 stars. I guess he's gotten a bit slower over the offseason. When the clock turns 12 on your 30th or 31st birthday, you lose a little bit of power in those legs. But he is playing with Maxime Dupont, who has 99 slapshot and wrist shot accuracy, so hopefully that will be a huge boost to him. He has Hugo Garon, who's a half-decent center, it seems like, down the middle. Kakko hasn't really done much in this franchise mode, and losing Panarin and Strome and all the other pieces hasn't helped at all. But hopefully this will be a good year for the Rangers, as they also have a good starting goalie, who's an 89 overall. So let's see how they do here in 2033-34. It was another solid regular season for the Rangers as they were the 7th best team in the NHL, going 44, 27, and 11 with 99 points. Once again in a very strong division as they finished right behind the Blue Jackets and were very close with the Hurricanes and the Devils. Lafrenière had the best statistical season of his career, putting up 101 points, setting career highs in points and assists with 74, 27 goals along with it through all 82 games that he played. The Rangers had 3 players who scored 100 points or more. Kakko scored 76. It was a great season for the Rangers as he improved to a 93 overall. And in the playoffs, that was enough to get the Rangers all the way to the conference finals, but they lost in 7, once again to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, this year being the Toronto Maple Leafs. So here in year number 14, it was the furthest that the franchise has made it, going all the way to the 3rd round, but they were just 1 game shy of making it to the Stanley Cup finals against Anaheim. Before getting eliminated, Lafrenière was on a Conn Smythe pace, scoring 21 points through the 17 playoff games that he was in, well over a point per game in his career playoff numbers. At the age of 32, he's heading into the 2034-35 season for the 15th year of his career with the New York Rangers. Also to note that here in year number 14 was the season in which he passed the 1,000 point barrier, as he was very close to the beginning of the season and ends off at 1,092 points. In year number 15, the Rangers lost Dupont to free agency, which is a huge blow to say the least, but Lafrenière's on the top line, now up to a 93 overall at the age of 32, looking good, 5-star everything except for the 4.5-star senses. That discipline is getting to him at 83, but aside from that, he is a perfect all-around player on both ends of the ice. I'm surprised this guy hasn't won a Selke. If he was a center, he probably would. He's playing with Garon once again, and Vandermeer on his right side, who still has 4.5-star shooting, so hopefully that will be a good partnership for them. They picked up some new pieces, Voinov, Brashear, so hopefully that's something for them. Defense is still a bit of a weaker position for them, but between the pipes they do have an 87 overall goalie. So in year number 15, at the age of 32, let's see how Lafrenière does, where he'll once again be looked to as the pillar of the franchise. It's another solid 7th place finish for the New York Rangers, who won their division in the 2034-35 season, going 48, 29, and 5 for 101 points. Alexis Lafrenière had another great season, putting up 89 points in 82 games with 26 goals and 63 assists. Vandermeer really profited off of that, scoring 49 goals of his own. But somehow, someway, the Rangers got swept in the first round by the Montreal Canadiens, who then swept the Blue Jackets, got swept by the Panthers, and then they lost to the St. Louis Blues in 7. So not a great year in the playoffs. Once again, a 4-game in-and-out exit for the New York Rangers. Lafrenière kept up his pace of just going a little bit over a point per game by scoring 5 assists in the 4 games. But now at the age of 33, still at 92 overall, he still has some juice in the tank at his age. So he could definitely still be a huge piece for this team moving forward. He's going to have 3 years left on his deal going into the 2035-36 season. So as we always say, we really hope that the Rangers have a good season, but what we hope for even more so is that they can get something done in the playoffs. Now in his 16th NHL season, Alexis Lafrenière is still at a 92 overall. Thankfully, Hugo Garon has grown to an 86, so he's playing with some better caliber players on that top line. Vandermeer still at a 92, so Lafrenière at a 92 and getting some special team time. I'm sure that the Rangers will have another solid regular season. All those stats are still, as always, 5-star everything except for the 4.5-star skating. He's getting a little bit more disciplined in his old age, up to 85 now, which is fantastic to see, but he's still just as fast at 92 speed. Acceleration's gone down a little bit. Defensively, his mind is still sharp with that 99 stick checking. So hopefully, not just a good season, but a finally a deep playoff run for this New York Ranger team. Also, shot accuracy is at the highest it's ever been at 95. So hopefully, he will take advantage of that. Year 16 was another top 10 finish in the NHL for the New York Rangers as they got 96 points with a record of 45, 31, and 6. Once again, in that tough division, it's hard to get anything going, but they squeaked in ahead of the Blue Jackets with the Hurricanes and Capitals also making it. In the regular season, it was another solid campaign from Alexis Lafrenière, putting up 81 points in 82 games. Very consistent in his point totals, 29 goals and 52 assists. Every season seems to be almost the same. Vandermeer getting 89, Garon getting 74. Finally, some good production from that top line in New York. And it finally all came together and culminated in a 2036 Stanley Cup championship for the Rangers. Took out the Hurricanes in 6, Capitals in 6, squeaked ahead of the Leafs in 7, and then in a nail-biting 7-game series, they took down the San Jose Sharks. So at the age of 34, Alexis Lafrenière finally got to raise a Stanley Cup above his head after 16 seasons with the Rangers. He put up 23 points in 26 playoff games. Kakko and Vandermeer really all came together. The two boys that have been here together the whole time, Kakko and Alexis Lafrenière, get to win a Stanley Cup together. There was no Conn Smythe for Lafrenière as the Rangers goaltender ended up capturing it, and understandably so with great numbers like that, 5 shutouts in 15 wins. But just really great to finally see the Rangers win a Stanley Cup after all of their hard work. I would imagine that Lafrenière is the captain of the team, or at least part of the leadership core. And at the age of 34, going into the final couple years of that big contract, we'll see if he can end off his career with some more hardware. Headed into his 17th NHL season now at the age of 34, Alexis Lafrenière is a 90 overall and has been placed on the third line with a 74 overall centerman and Cyrus Brophy, a sniper. So maybe the playmaker-sniper combo works, but not a lot of ice time for the pillar of this team who just got them a Stanley Cup. He's on the second unit of power play as well, so I don't really agree with that decision by Rangers management. Although I know it's pretty stacked on the wings up here, I'd probably find somewhere to put the 90 overall left winger in there. Defense is still rather shaky, and they do have a great goaltender, so maybe it'll work out somehow for this team. I don't know how with the 74, the 76, and the 73 overalls here on defense. It looks like a half NHL elite team and a half AHL mediocre team. So here in 2036-37, we'll see how Lafrenière does. 2 years left on his big contract at the age of 34. The Rangers continue to be a very solid and consistent regular season team with the 8th best record in the NHL in 2036-37, going 46, 29, and 7, always around that same type of record for 99 points. Lafrenière had the worst season of his career, though, unfortunately, scoring 46 points in 82 games, dropping to an 87 overall. He only had about 16 minutes of ice time per night, which seems to be the lowest of his career as well, as he's used to the 17 to 20 minute range. But just a really weird season for him, being on the third line, now down to an 87 overall, like I said, but only 46 points, which is way less than even what he got in his rookie season, while the rest of the team seemed to perform pretty well, with Kakko at 63, this guy Rhinus at 85, who was a second-round pick of the Sharks, alright, 55 goals from him. And in the playoffs, there was another classic second-round exit, as they beat the Hurricanes in 5, but then lost to the Penguins in 6, and then those Penguins lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens in 6 as well. So another second round exit and another solid season for the New York Rangers. Lafrenière did pretty well, scoring 6 points in 11 games in the playoffs, but once again, like I said, it was tough to get anything going down on that third line. So hopefully next season they really complement Lafrenière, and they'll want to really make him want to make it worth his while, as he'll be entering the final year of his contract, now at 35 years of age. Lafrenière played pretty well in the playoffs, scoring 6 points in 11 games, 3 goals and 3 assists, but like I said, down on that third line, it's really hard to get anything going. He'll be entering the last year of his contract next season, so they'll really want to make it worth his while if he's going to stay, and getting third line minutes really isn't the optimal way to do so. Headed into his 18th NHL season, Alexis Lafrenière is 35 years old, now down to an 85 overall, listed as a second-line forward. His potential has dropped to exact top 6. Still holding on to the 5-star puck skills and the 5-star shooting, but everything else has begun to drop, especially the physical and the skating, and even the defense, as his stick checking is still at a 91, but has dropped from a 99. The discipline has dropped as well. He's a cranky old man. He's down to 81 discipline, so we'll see how he does this season. He has been restored to the top 6, as he's playing with Bengtsson and Kakko, which is a nice little veterans line. Those two wingers centered by a 27-year-old. They still have their their usual core of Vandermeer, Rhinus, who's been here for a couple seasons. Other defense, it's a bit improved from last year, but still pretty mediocre on the second and third pair. And they do have their 87 overall elite goaltender. So here in 2037-2038, the 35-year-old Alexis Lafrenière, in the final year of his big contract, will try to get the Rangers one more cup for one more run. Will he resign? Will he leave? How many years does he have left in him? We will have to see. Also, just to add that I did go into a game here against the New York Rangers to check it out, and here in his 18th season, Alexis Lafrenière is indeed the captain of the New York Rangers. I'm sure he's been the captain for a few years now, but in his 18th NHL season, he is the captain of the Rangers, so that first overall pick paid its dividends in terms of success and leadership for sure. The 37-38 season was a rough one for the Rangers, as they went 37-39-6 to only get 80 points and missed out on the playoffs by quite a bit, as they were the 23rd team in the NHL. A lottery spot for them, as they finished 9th worst. They had the offense, but it seems like defense was a big issue for the team. Lafrenière, now at the age of 36, put up a 53-point season with 15 goals and 38 assists. He dropped to an 84 overall in a pretty tough season for him. He ended off on the second line. He had first team power play, but on that expiring deal, I don't know if the Rangers have the money or the desire from either party to come back for another run, especially considering that the last 2 seasons have been the worst statistical seasons of his career, with this season of 53 points being 1 point less than the 54 that he got in his rookie campaign all the way back in 2020-2021. In the 2038 offseason, Alexis Lafrenière entered free agency for the first time in his career and headed over to the Western Conference, signing a 1-year, $5.150 million deal with the Dallas Stars. Now at the age of 36, he has dropped to an 82 overall, listed as a second-line forward with exact top 9 potential. Still with the 5-star puck skills, but that's about it, as even the shooting has begun to drop, now at 4 stars. Both defense and physical have dropped to 3 stars, so that That is good enough still for the second line, though, as he's playing with the reincarnation of Nicholas Backstrom, who's a 24-year-old Swede, makes sense, and J.C. Cohen, who is that Danish? I don't know. Playing on a decent top 6 team here in Dallas. Could be better. The defense is not too great either, with all 76 to 81 overalls. He does get power play, first unit power play time, and between the pipes, they don't really have anybody either. So it doesn't look like it's going to be an all-star season for Lafrenière, but if anyone can help out this team, it is a veteran with a Stanley Cup and 12-13 some points to his name. However, Alexis Lafrenière was traded to the Winnipeg Jets at the trade deadline. And it's a good thing because the Dallas Stars were going nowhere fast, ending up finishing with the worst record in the NHL, going 27-50-5. But unfortunately, the addition of Lafrenière to the Jets was not enough to push them into the playoffs. They finished with a record of 40-34-8, but were just 3 points behind the last wildcard spot, occupied by the Vegas Golden Knights. So an 88-point season made the Jets the 19th best team in the league. And Lafrenière definitely pulled his weight, putting up 23 points in the 21 games that he played with Winnipeg. He was on their second line and first power play, ending up with a grand total of 63 points on the season, playing an 84-game regular season, 40 points with 5 goals in 63 games with Dallas, and then 23 points in 21 games with the Jets. So 63 points, 84-game season for him. He came over from Dallas with J.C. Cohen. They both put in overtime on the season, but with that season finished and in the books, he drops to an 82 overall and will once again be on an expiring deal, and we'll see if he enters free agency for the 2039-40 season or if he will call it a career. And for his 20th NHL season, everything came full circle for Alexis Lafrenière as he signed a 2-year, $6.690 million deal with the Montreal Canadiens. The Francophones, the Québécois, they were dancing in the streets. It was free chicken wings at the Casual Sport all night long. They could not believe it. He is still an 82 overall forward who's listed as a second liner, bottom 6 potential at the age of 37, but he still has those puck skills. He still has the 87 offensive awareness, the 90 shooting accuracy, so he could be a huge help to the Montreal Canadiens. Unfortunately, they have decided to put him as a fourth-line right winger for the beginning of this season, which does not make a whole lot of sense at all. He is on the first power play unit at least, playing with this guy Jeffrey Fata and Thomas Carlson. So I don't know. Maybe the Canadiens will get something done. Hopefully, Marc Bergevin is still wheeling and dealing, and Lafrenière can be a huge piece for this team. And if nothing else, at least the jerseys are selling out as Lafrenière is with the Canadiens and hoping to make something happen. Their defense is passable. In nets, they have an 84 overall. Sylvain Boumedienne. Wow, they must really be selling jerseys at the highest pace ever. So we'll see how Lafrenière and the Canadiens do in 2039-2040. In his first season with the Canadiens, Alexis Lafrenière finally made it back to the playoffs with a 100-point season as the Habs went 46-28-8. And Lafrenière down on that fourth line. Let's see if he actually moved up. No, he stayed on that fourth line. Second power play unit, only played 11 minutes and 48 seconds a night, and he still put up 68 points. Now, granted, 33 of those were on the power play, but even take away those 33, you're still left with 35, which is a great season, but still, all around, the 38-year-old Alexis Lafrenière was very happy to be in his hometown, in his home province. 13 goals and 55 assists for 68 points in 82 games from him. He went up to an 84 overall, which is fantastic to see. His stats, his puck skills are at 99 across the board, so he really had a rebirthing kind of season here in Montreal. In the playoffs, the Habs took down the Senators in 7 games, but it was that same old second-round heartache for Lafrenière as they lost to the Wings in 7, and then the Red Wings went on to lose to the Kings in the Stanley Cup final. So Lafrenière, a great season, a good playoffs as well, as he was tied for the lead in team scoring with 12 points in 14 games. He really wanted another shot at the Cup, and doing so with Montreal would have been even sweeter, but he still has 1 year left on that deal and another chance to do so next season. Unless he were to retire, and that is exactly what he did. After 20 NHL seasons, Alexis Lafrenière called it a career in the 2040 offseason at the age of 38. He was a playmaker through and through as we look at his final stats here. He played 1,630 games. Now, just to put that in perspective, if he had played every single game of all 20 seasons, that would have been 1,640 games. So also counting the 2 games in that one season where he played 84 games due to that trade, let's even just take away 2 from that. Let's say he missed only 12 games from injury. 20 seasons, he missed 12 games. That's just mind-boggling. The guy was just an Iron Man through and through. 1,492 points, just 8 away from hitting 1,500. And of course, things will change by the year 2040, but here in 2020, 1,020 assists would have placed him 13th all-time, right between Joe Sakic and Mario Lemieux. And the 1,492 points would have put him 15th all-time, right between Stan Mikita and Joe Thornton. So like I said, lots going to change between now and 2040, but those are the numbers now, just looking at in relation to the current NHL records. So quite a career. He goes out at an 84 overall. He had wonderful, consistent stats throughout his career. The one year, the couple seasons in New York where he went 53, 46, but aside from that, always like a 60 to 70, 80 plus point guy who really knew how to pass the puck. In the playoffs, he scored 134 points in 138 games with 45 goals and 89 assists with 1 Stanley Cup under his belt. He only won 1 Calder Trophy. That was the only hardware that he got throughout his 20 seasons, but he was respected as the captain of the Rangers, did a little time on the Stars, did a little time on the Jets at the end of a season, played 1 full 82-game season with his hometown team, putting up 68 points. And to be honest, I think this is a very realistic career simulation for Lafrenière. He goes to the New York Rangers, he has some success, they never make it far enough in the playoffs, they start to rebuild once guys like Panarin and Zibanejad have to go, but he stays around, he sticks around as the team leader. The team was very mismanaged, I have to say that. If the team was managed a bit better, it would have the Rangers would have had more success. But eventually they win a Stanley Cup. He gets older. They let him go to free agency, and then he ends off his career back on his hometown team. I think this is a very realistic sim that we could see from Alexis Lafrenière, and it's really fantastic to see that he had such a fruitful career with 1 Stanley Cup at least under his belt. So that is the end of the Alexis Lafrenière career simulation. I really enjoyed doing it. If you'd like to see more career simulations, please let me know who else you'd like to see. As I said at the start of the video, there's other accounts like Man of the Writ and NM3 who do fantastic career sims, but if there's anyone who hasn't been covered or you want to see me covered, I would love to do more career sims. They're so much faster to fly through than franchise mode simulations, since you don't have to do any of the lines or the scouting or the free agency or any of that garbage. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this career sim, be sure to subscribe for more NHL 20 content in my franchise mode series. Also putting out FIFA 20 content and other walkthroughs for other games on the channel, such as Spider-Man PS4 from last year, and currently going through SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. So thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. Alexis Lafrenière, I think he'll have a great career with the Rangers, so I'm looking forward to seeing him next year in 2020-21. But right here at the end of the 2040 season, we got to say goodbye to Alexis and thank you for your contributions to the NHL.